Emma. Wow, what a shock this morning. What more are we hearing about these earthquakes?
So I think earlier I said that this was the biggest earthquake we've had in Melbourne in living memory. Well, we've since heard from the experts who say it's the largest one on this seaboard since European settlement, 6 on the Richter scale. The last time we had one that would have been felt in the city, that was 9 years ago in 2012 in June. That was 4.9 on the Richter scale. So if you hadn't had your coffee yet this morning, that certainly would have woken you up.
Emma, just to paint a bit of a picture of where you are, you're actually in a city in Melbourne, and your office, our workplace in Melbourne at Channel 10 isn't very far away. So this is kind of something that's not happening in some kind of far-flung place, but right in the middle of where all the action is.
That's exactly right. This is right in the heart of Melbourne. Usually when we're out of lockdown, Chapel Street is a bustling place. It's very sad to see this burger restaurant behind me. They've sustained a lot of damage, but this is the worst damage that we have heard about so far. The epicentre was in Mansfield. That's northeast, 100 k's northeast of Melbourne, near the Alpine Resort. So people in regional areas certainly were a lot more affected than we were here in Melbourne, but this is still incredible to see in Melbourne. We're really close to the newsroom. We were preparing to have a chat with you from the studio there this morning, and then we were evacuated. So, I can't stress enough how completely out of the ordinary this is, especially for a city that's already, I'd have to say, on edge because of the pandemic and the extended lockdowns.
Yeah, we saw those incredible pictures from inside the newsroom. Emma, you were standing by. Personally for you, what did it feel like? Were you nervous? Were you taken by surprise?
Definitely taken by surprise, and I think it took all of us a good 5 seconds to understand what was going on, and it was silent, apart from the shaking of the building, which was really noisy. Like, looking around, you couldn't see things falling off shelves or anything, but the noise, you could really hear that the whole building was moving because it's a high-rise building. And after that first 5 seconds where everyone went quiet and listened, someone said, "That's an earthquake," which is something so unusual here for us, the last one being 9 years ago that we felt in the centre of the city.
Wow, there are some people as far away as Sydney asking the question, just felt some tremors,
Even
so,
Tasmania.
Wow, yeah. So this is being felt
far and wide.
Far and wide.
Exactly, we're hearing as far as the ACT and also in some parts of South Australia. So we certainly haven't heard anything like that before. And while, when I experienced it, I thought, oh, that's a bit unusual. Hearing from family and friends this morning, a lot of people were really frightened, especially if things came crashing off shelves in their homes, which we're hearing was a very common experience. A lot of people ran outside, grabbed their kids and ran outside. So for a lot of people this morning, it was really frightening.
Are there reports of any injuries?
Thankfully, no reports of any injuries, which is really fortunate. Our State Control Centre is gearing up this morning to see if there needs to be an emergency response. We know the Prime Minister made contact with our Premier, Daniel Andrews, very soon after this happened. It's incredibly unusual, and that we are seeing building damage and, damage of household items. But, thankfully, we're really relieved to hear that there isn't significant damage, particularly because on the Richter scale it was 6. That's higher than the earthquake in Newcastle a little while back that caused a lot more damage. So in a lot of ways we are also very fortunate this morning.
Emma, when the Premier came out this morning at about 8:15, he said that he was limiting his time to half an hour because he had more pressing matters to deal with. Little did anybody know he would have had.
And the police did mention they were using new tactics against the protesters today. I don't think they quite managed to do that, though.
The biggest earthquake in Europe since European settlement. No one would have known that was going to be on his plate today.
Exactly. There was such a shock, as something else for him to deal with, and a real distraction. Maybe it's going to take away some of the attention on the protesters, and we'll see that fizzle out. We're ready for whatever 2021 throws at us.
All right, Emma O'Sullivan reporting there. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll let you get back to news gathering.